TREPANG2 you made it. We're here to back you up if things get heated.
Not too long ago, we made a video about bullet time games that are worth checking out. Today, we're going to review TREPANG2, a game created with a lot of passion and love for the F.E.A.R series, and we're going to find out if it's worth playing. So let's get into the video. Hi and welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Vashal and this is Telplay. Today we're going to review TREPANG2. We'll discuss what the game is about, how similar it is to F.E.A.R games, and what sets it apart. I must mention that I haven't personally played any of the F.E.A.R games. I've only seen moments and gameplay from them, so I'll do my very best to make a comparison in that context. There are surely others who have played them and may do a better job than I would, but I'll attempt to review it from the perspective of a newcomer to the bullet time type of games, which isn't too popularized but is always worth exploring because of moments like this. First of all, I would like to thank TREPANG Studio and Keymailer for providing me with a review copy for this game. I was really excited to try this game and I was pleasantly surprised to be offered one. Despite receiving a free copy for this game, I still want to give you the honest opinion regarding this game without spoiling you the story. So what is TREPANG2 exactly? TREPANG2 is an action first-person shooter game with bullet time events that takes great inspiration from the franchise F.E.A.R. Just to make a side parenthesis here, F.E.A.R is an action horror game that does the same thing. TREPANG2 took great inspiration from the mechanics and the feel of the game, but not exactly went full on the horror aspect. Also, if you're wondering why is this called the second one, well, actually it's not. The first game that was ever created was made for a jam, and TREPANG Studio have considered to go with the second one for the sake of it. The whole name of it actually means sea cucumber, which is kind of funny. At its core, the game focuses a lot on the combat and does a great job at it. Its moment to moment makes the game an incredible jaw-dropping event that feel extremely brutal, gorish, and stylistic. It's a game that really knows how to make you feel like a total badass, and it does this through a few elements that stood out for me. You play as a special soldier called 106, who is capable of sliding long distances, going temporarily invisible, and slowing down time, in which he is capable of moving at faster speeds and taking down enemies with ease, either by grabbing them and breaking their necks or throwing them if you wish. So as you play this game, you'll realize that you are a superhuman capable of doing so many incredible things that I was really impressed. You basically have no physical adversary at the beginning. Oh, and one more thing that I want to point out is the fact that as I was playing the campaign, I wasn't aware that I was able to do one particular thing, which is leaping long distances while you still have stamina, and as well high distances. So if you double tap a couple of times space, you're gonna be able to jump higher and higher as a double jump or something of a sort, and combining that with slow motion and slides, you become an unstoppable machine. The game is structured in such a way you get to play and pick missions you're going to carry. Those missions start at first in a linear fashion for the main campaign, and aside from this, you unlock new areas that are considered side quests, and if you want, you can simply ignore them, but if you want to achieve full completion or you want to explore more the world and having really cool side quests, I think it's worth trying them out. The mission follow a narrative, but at the end of the day is you surviving and trimming through soldiers and learning more about the world and yourself. The main campaign is known to be short, having only 5 main missions. For some people this might feel quite short, and it really is, but if you choose to play the game on its highest difficulty, you're going to try again multiple times, as the game can be extremely challenging, and the end boss fight was no joke unless you learn what you need to do and you have the right type of weapons. The whole setting of the game feels somehow nostalgic with elements that for some reason reminds me of older games that came 2 decades ago. The silent protagonist might be as well the factor behind it, but there's something about this game that talks to me this way that I can't really express. Early moments in the game, I felt a sense of loneliness and interest that personally worked well for me. I found the game's story pretty interesting. While I do think it's truly not the best action first-person shooter story out there, it's definitely an interesting and decent one. If you've watched until now and you like what we do and want to see more, liking this video helps us reach out to more people who want to purchase and play this game. If you're not subscribed, this might be a good time to do so, as we post weekly videos about games you don't want to miss. That being said, let's get back into the video. If you are going to compare this game with F.E.A.R, obviously you're gonna think about AI, so let's talk about that. Enemies will communicate between themselves and also point out if you are being flanked or that you're facing them from a different position, or if they're impressed of your movesets, which I found quite cool and a really nice touch to AI, because in other games that I played, a lot of the times the AI felt really boring, stale and repetitive. Over here it felt something different and I appreciated that. Although the AI is not perfect by all means, it's still improved among other games that I played. They communicate between one another, they try to cover each other, and they try to be on guard. They either play aggressive or sometimes they play defensive depending on the number of soldiers that there are over there. It's really cool, and they also play based on their own abilities because there are different types of enemies that you will face. There's a fairly large variety. They can spot flashlights or they can spot lasers from your weapons, and they will point it out and they will try to move away. They have fairly good reaction time, and if it wasn't for your ability to slow down time, sometimes aiming them would be quite difficult because they will try to move, try to tilt their heads and do all kinds of things that will make it much more difficult for you to shoot them. Say what you want, but I think the game looks pretty good. It's developed by a small team with possibly a smaller budget, yet in my opinion the game looks rather good. Explosions are impressive for me, and slow motion moments like that really kick ass no matter how good or bad you play the game. Lightning is good too, but I found that in some places it's extremely difficult to see where you need to go and be, even if you run with your flashlight. For instance, there's a moment in the second mission that you will fall in a dark section of the map that adds a sense of claustrophobia, confusion and desperation all together, as you can't find your way through the maze very well as you desperately try to claw your way out of there. Now I could say that this may be intentional, but I do find it difficult sometimes to see in some areas even if you use your flashlight. Cinematics are few in between, with close moments of enemies and stuff that make things interesting, but overall there's a lot to be desired. Still, if you're not looking for a narrative experience, you're going to enjoy what it has to offer. When it comes to sound effects, music and voice acting, I think the game stands out pretty good. The music kicks hard to some battles, but sometimes it feels it carries for far too long, even though there was no enemies inside that I could spot, giving me a sense of alertness, although there was no impending doom or any kind of dangers. I was pretty sure that I cleared the whole area, yet the music was still on playing on the battle sections, and I felt like a little bit confused of what am I missing or what's there that I need to expect more. Voice acting was fairly well done. I gotta say, I love the way characters communicate via comms. There's something about it in fighting alongside your team and getting to be called by your name is kinda cool. The sound effects are great too. Weapons feel powerful and punchy, and explosions are loud and incredible. I found myself shocked a couple of times when there was a grenade that blew near me in my face and I didn't die, but it took me by surprise. The horror parts are yet to be desired though. The music shifts and you're all tensed up, but really the enemy variety and the thrill isn't that focused as F.E.A.R has it. And personally, that's okay for me. Still, the atmosphere and the sound is there, but the reality is that it doesn't necessarily try to scare you in any way. It had a couple of jump scares, but they didn't really do a good job. And if they really tried to be more horror, I think they should have focused a little bit much more further on that aspect, because there were some things that they were lacking. But I do appreciate the fact that they tried a little bit to take inspiration from F.E.A.R without copying the whole aesthetics and the uniqueness of that particular game. When it comes to controller and a Steam Deck, although I tested this game out on the controller, the game simply just didn't want to run for me. Although on the Steam Deck, the game runs perfectly fine at 60 frames at the highest settings. The game offers control support, but for some reason it could not recognize my controller. I don't know if it was me or it was something with the programs I used, but whatever that may be the case, you might have a better luck. But I would recommend playing this game with a mouse and keyboard, because it's a shooter and you will have a better aim and a much more fun time, as the aim assist is not very good in my opinion. Not at the moment. The devs said that they're working on it, so do expect that it's a little bit weird, and because you're using slow motion time to time, that will take some precision to aim, and it might be a little bit easier, but when time is running fast, it's gonna be tough to actually aim them in the head or do all kinds of stuff that you want to do, which I find much more easier with a keyboard and mouse. If you're a completionist and want to get this game to a 100%, be prepared, as in order to do so, you have to try again on the hardest difficulty. The game allows you from the get-go to choose Rage mode, which is the highest difficulty, but be prepared, as you will die and retry multiple times until you get it right. At some point at the very end of the game, I've died so many times that the game literally saved and moved me forward past the original checkpoint for some reason, just to let me pass it. Although I've not changed the difficulty or anything, but failed so many times, so be prepared to have a hard time. Other than that, you'll have collectibles for each of the main missions plus the side missions to collect, and if you wish to get the true ending of the game, you will need to find some hidden drones on each mission in order to be able to do so. All in all, I think TREPANG2 is a fun and exciting spiritual successor for F.E.A.R franchise, with cool and fun bullet time moments that are worth checking out. The AI may not be as renowned as the F.E.A.R games, but it does a good job at making each moment feel realistic in its way they communicate between each other, and by keeping you on your toes. If you're looking for a fun time, this game is worth checking out. Don't let the short campaign sway you away from trying the game out, and if your budget is low, wishlist the game for now and get it on a discount. Overall, you'll be spending a good amount of time in this game, enough to justify the price. As most of our reviews on our channel, we will score this game as good. This is a 7 out of 10. For some, it might be an 8 out of 10. Honestly, the whole gameplay is fun, but because the story is not so impactful, yet it's still interesting, I cannot score it any higher or any lower. Still, I highly recommend checking this game out either on a discount or whenever you feel like you want to try something new with some really cool gameplay mechanics that are worth experiencing. Or if you've been a fan of the F.E.A.R franchise and wanted to revisit the franchise in a different light, you can definitely do so by playing this game. So that's all I wanted to cover regarding this game. Let me know in the comments what you think about the game. Have you been considering playing it? Have you played it? Let me know, because I would really like to know, and we respond to all your comments, so drop them down below. We really would appreciate it. If you want to stay in touch to us and get monthly games from our giveaway, join our Discord. This month we're offering Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for Steam. If you want to take part in that giveaway, you can do so by checking the link below. If you want to check more of our bullet time games, check this video out. If not, as always, stay safe, take care, and happy gaming.